And joining us in the studio this morning, is she the one who can beat Duterte in this coming race? Senator Grace Poe is with us this morning. Senator Grace, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Of course, Karen. This is where it all started when I was in the MTRCB. But good morning to everyone. Good morning.
All right, it's 3 days to go before the race, and I think you had a press con yesterday, and the first thing you said is, talks of me backing out are untrue. Let's talk about that.
Well, of course, actually a few hours before I went to that press con, I received texts, people asking me, is it true, did you back out? And I said, absolutely not. And I wanted to clarify that, among other things. That's why I went on that's why I had to address the public. But there are also many issues that came out in the campaign, and it's best heard from the candidate herself or himself.
Now, you know, you're the youngest running for the presidency.
Not quite young, but the youngest among the group.
But are you shocked that, I mean, it's turned out this way? I mean, it's a very difficult campaign, this 2016 race.
Absolutely. I think now with social media and people all weighing in on the issues, which is good in one sense, but otherwise, if they're a bit irresponsible or personal, it can really affect you. But it also puts things into perspective, as we were discussing earlier. I think people are really disillusioned. People are expecting more from government now. And I think that's really something that candidates have to consider now if they decide to run. That you don't just deal with the media, you don't just deal with perception, you actually deal with personalities that can attack you online or in many other platforms.
Now, when you started your campaign, you were the one who didn't want to attack any candidate. It wasn't your style. It wasn't your leadership style. I've seen you in many debates, and then in the last few days, all of you started attacking each other already. Do you think this is what the public wants? I wanted to ask you.
Let me clarify. It wasn't really attacking. There was a second debate when the vice president questioned my loyalty to the country, and I had to defend myself because that's an important issue that the public needs to be able to understand what my real position or the reason why I did certain things. I may have come out a little bit stronger, but I think the occasion calls for it. I still try not to attack anybody. I don't attack anybody personally, but there are certain issues that will also bring in the character of the person. And people might mistake that as a personal attack, but no. In a presidential race or in any race, the character of the candidate will always be called into question.
Now, you have the Makati Business Club and some businessmen who have come out openly and expressed fears of a Duterte presidency. What do you think would happen if Duterte won?
Well, I would still hope for the best. I mean, especially when it comes to the markets, especially when it comes to our standing in the international community. Somebody said, you don't want to burn the house down because you're looking for a rap. One thing is we don't want to spook the markets, but I think that you need a president that has a clear vision, a president that will make friends with the international community without, of course, selling out the country. But a president who understands that you really need accountability, you need to be answerable to the people, and you can't just decide on things unilaterally. So I think that's really important.
All right, you've said in some ambush interviews, we need a stable president.
Absolutely.
What would people expect if under a Grace Poe presidency, and what would be the business environment?
One thing is, I think, what we need is a unifying president. Everybody says that, but I think I've proven that. I mean, it doesn't matter what camp you are with. I will work with you as long as you have the integrity and the capability to do the job. Another thing with the Grace Poe presidency, we will really create an economic environment that will be conducive to investments.
How would you do that?
Well, one thing is we need to be able to really amend our charter for certain foreign ownership, to ease certain foreign ownership restrictions. In my belief is that we have to encourage more investors to come in so that we can create more jobs. That's the only way we will have inclusive growth. So even if foreign companies own more than 60% of a business, if they will bring in manufacturing jobs in the Philippines, hire our Filipino employees, and give us the transfer of technology, why not? They can't take that. If they take that business away, then obviously we won't benefit from it. But one thing I will not allow is, I think, at this point, land ownership, because we need to be able to reach a certain economic stature, at least for the majority of our countrymen, to be able to buy land and to be able to compete. We don't want to wake up one day and be like Palestine, that we've lost everything because we've sold it.
Now, President Aquino was coming from, you're talking about a president that was very popular, even leaving office with very high approval or popularity ratings. The international community admired the Aquino administration. Why do you think didn't agriculture and manufacturing grow to levels that would have been, I mean, more impressive?
I know. I mean, the sectors like small to medium enterprises, manufacturing and tourism, these are the growth industries.
What went wrong?
I think that the president did a lot of corrections when he first came in. Unfortunately, the focus also had been on getting back at some people who had to be accountable from the last administration. That took a lot of energy from them. Maybe the vision wasn't as clear as it should have been. But also, I think people need to realize, and that's why the next 6 years is crucial, that even if we've made economic gains and strides in this particular administration, people continue to be disillusioned because they don't feel it yet. But it will take at least another administration and perhaps another one for it to be able to trickle down. But at that particular level of growth or even higher, that's why what I'm saying is, if you're happy where you are right now, okay, don't vote for me. If you think that what they've done is enough and you're happy that our country has already achieved what we need to achieve, don't vote for me. If you want to go back 30, 40 years from where we were, don't vote for me. But if you feel our country deserves better, if you feel that our country can be on equal footing with other more developed nations in Asia, then perhaps you might consider me. I think I have the best platform for this. I will create the right economic environment for this. And certainly, I think that I have the temperament, the energy, and maybe the moral ground to stand on to be able to rally the country.
Now, in a recent interview, Secretary Marroja said this is a fight between Digong and I. What's your reaction to that?
First of all, it's not about him. This is not about him alone. And I think that what we realize with that particular statement is that perhaps he's focused on himself as opposed to what he can offer or what other candidates can offer for the country. I think it's a little bit too presumptuous for him. For one particular survey where he went up with me, went up, but then just tied with me. And then there's another survey that came out after that that shows otherwise. So what I'm saying is, it's not for the elite, for a few people to decide who should run or who should not run. Let the people decide. There are efforts to try to consolidate all of us together, but how can you do that? I mean, at this particular juncture, this point.
Yeah. Now, you were going to mention the elite, but let me move it to the political elite. Instead of just, I think that's what you meant.
Yes.
So, at first, you were the outsider in the race. You would be like the semi-Donald Trump, the outside. Ted Cruz. No. Ted Cruz. Then they felt Donald Trump was more of the outsider, which some say Duterte is more of the outsider. How do you now position yourself that you are a sitting senator, you were once endorsed by President Aquino, but you are not part of the political elite? You were not, even when you were #1, the political elite questioned, bakit si Grace po? Why would we go for her? And now it seems the public want an outsider.
Well, yes, but I think with recent events, hopefully it will actually reach more people what they really need to consider. That's why, Karen, I used the term verdugo in my statement yesterday. A verdugo is somebody with, a mask. You don't really know the identity of that person, but he's the one that will implement the execution. I don't think we need that kind of leader at this point. Certainly we don't need divisiveness. We need to be able to reach out to more people. We need to be able to bring in more people to a particular vision for the country. In my case, I still remain to be an outsider. And I just realize it more and more now. When, even if I go to a province, I don't know most of these people. Most of these people are running the local government. And, there are certain, they want to make certain deals or compromises, which I'm actually so alien to me.
Yeah.
And I think that that is actually, I feel, what I can offer the country. You know, not transactional politics, but politics that can actually bring in more people in, genuine change, and policies that will really be inclusive for the people. It's hard when there are just a few political elite deciding, wag na ikaw, ito na lang, kasi ito may panalo. Ako, I don't believe in that.
Now, an advertisement came out in the Inquirer. It's a group of people that support a Grace-Lenny tandem. Of course, you have people on social media already criticizing you that you dropped Senator Cheese. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely not. My vice president is Senator Cheese. It's clear. He's been my friend for a long time, but I also believe in his capability as a leader. I think that he's been bashed so many times. In a way, we're almost the same, that he doesn't really bash anyone personally. He just defends himself. Maybe he should have been more aggressive with certain issues, especially with regards to me.
Yeah.
But in the Philippines, fortunately or unfortunately, you can vote the vice president separately from the president, unlike in the US.
Yeah.
So it's really the option of the people. Now, I also recognize and I thank the people who see the leadership capability of a woman. It's important for us to be able to respect and recognize that. I think women bring in a certain perspective, even in the Senate.
Yeah.
All the hard bills that are fought were fought by women.
Yeah.
RH, and then you have Senator Cynthia Villar for agriculture, and many other. I mean, FOI, I did that.
Yeah.
Even my counterpart, I think, in Congress is Congresswoman Lenny. So all of these controversial bills, and even the most challenging positions in government, you have women, the Supreme Court, the Ombudsman, before COA.
Yeah. So you're saying it didn't have your go signal. It's supporter-driven.
Absolutely not. I don't even know who did that. Okay, but I respect them for that, and I thank them if they believe that I have the capability to lead as a woman, as president of this country.
Okay. All right. Now, you were remembered, actually, the tipping point to you becoming a presidential, in my opinion, was when you came out with a Senate committee report and you said ultimately the president is responsible or accountable for the Mama Sapano encounter. People were looking for the fire in Senator Grace Poe during the last ABS-CBN presidential debate. Some said you quite mellowed. I mean, what's your mental makeup as of today? Are you the fighting Grace Poe? Are you the mellow Grace Poe?
What I wanted to convey during that last debate is the reason why I ran.
Okay.
I think I've made my point already, refuting the claims of the vice president when he first attacked me during the second debate. I think what's important is for people to know where I want to take them, my sympathy for what they're going through. Some people may have looked for a fiercer.
Yeah. The Grace Poe during the second debate, you remember?
I know.
Yeah.
You can never please everyone.
Yeah.
Okay? But the important thing is I feel that I was able to convey what I wanted to convey. But in this particular fight, you know, Karen, it's really a hit or miss if you'll be able to please the people. But at the end, it's really what you want to be able to convey to them.
Yeah. Who will be Senator Grace Poe's economic group if you win?
You know, I'm really blessed and I'm thankful. Even before I decided to run, I've been receiving briefings already from highly respected, very credible people with the moral authority, not just the intelligence, to be able to brief me on economic policies. Well, I thank certain individuals who did it in their personal capacity, like Mr. Ramon Del Rosario.
He's been quite open.
Yes, and I'm very thankful. I mean, you couldn't ask for probably a better, more credible person to be able to brief you. And then you also have Secretary Shell Habito, Romy Bernardo. I always mention their names. Dado Banatao every now and then. I have a few who doesn't really want to be named, but I thank them anyway.
So
Bobby
in other words, it's like saying that the economy would be safe.
Absolutely, but you know what? The economy will be safe. But it's also important to realize that the president that will implement these economic policies actually have the mandate and should have the capability to inspire people. Because you can have the best economic policies, but if you cannot communicate it to the people, why do we need to do this?
Okay.
They may not be able to rally behind you. And I feel that I think I can be able to do that. Because even when I was in the MTRCB, some people would say, what a trivial example. But I had so many different people there in that board, 30 people with different mindsets. And even in the Senate, presiding over a hearing, everybody with their own political agenda, but keeping the peace and the pace. I think that's
okay.
quite
Before I forget, we talked about the Texas spreading, that you were withdrawing for MAR, which you clearly deny no. But there's another one. This one was texted to me by someone from the Liberal Party. I don't want to name now because we'd have to get his side, but it was supposed to be that you had asked Vice President Binay to withdraw and that you were willing to reimburse all the expenses of Binay. You sent an emissary.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I dare them to prove it. And whoever that emissary is who claims to be my emissary is absolutely not authorized. Okay. First of all, I wouldn't do that. You know how the Vice President is. And parang the gall for me to be able to say that, first of all, I don't have the money. And as I said, Karen, I'm still
to reimburse expenses.
To reimburse. I mean, if you count the pre-campaign period, he's probably spent a few billions, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm really an outsider. I wouldn't even know who to send to him. Well, you have some people who, we know each other personally from before, but I wouldn't dare ask him to do that. First of all, for what? I feel I will be betraying our country because I've already said so many things about him, a mouthful, in fact, even signing that PDAF report, I mean the Makati City Parking Building, against him. I was the second one who signed it after those that presided over that committee report.
Yeah. Now, do you think people are not seeing the Senator Grace Poe that they once, I mean, liked in the Senate? I mean, because clearly, for a newbie in the Senate, you've been quite aggressive and decisive on major issues in the Senate.
Unfortunately, Karen, not everything I say is actually covered by media or included with the sound bites that they need. But also, at the beginning of this, I really had to fight personal battles against me. My issue as a foundling, my citizenship issue, all of these other cases, that you really cannot come on strong because it's fighting for yourself as opposed to fighting for what's right for the country. Then you can be more aggressive when it comes to that. Unfortunately, when it comes to issues about the country, they never show it, they never cover it, because what's more exciting to them is what's happening in the Supreme Court or the issues, the black propaganda being hurled against me.
Yeah. So coming from the citizenship issue, before we go, win or lose, I mean, you talked about this in the presidential debate. Tony Velasquez asked you, does this mean that your husband will renounce, win or lose?
Karen, I'd like to clarify this issue once and for all. My husband has renounced before a public officer here in the Philippines and has done so also in the U.S. Embassy. And he's actually getting his certificate already today.
I see.
Now, it's a long process.
Yeah. So he's getting, wait, I think this is big. Your husband is getting his certificate today. He has renounced in front of the U.S. Embassy already.
Weeks ago, he's done that. But he had to start here. And you know, Karen, there's a fee for that. You should be able to file your taxes for the last 5 years. You have to put all those documents together and to submit that. So by the time you go there, you have to have it ready. But nais kong sabihin, para sa ating mga kababayan, para lang maayos, ang asawa ko, Pilipino, natural born, dahil parehong mga magulang niya ay Pilipino. Nagkataon lamang na nag-aaral sila at nagtatrabaho noon sa Amerika, kaya doon pinanganak ang asawa ko. Ngayon, sinasabi nila ang anak ko at asawa ko hindi bumoboto since 2007, 2010, 2013 at hanggang ngayon may record ng, well ngayon boboto sila, may record ng pagkaboto. Hindi po CIA ang asawa ko. Mawalang
what is
galang na sa iba.
your reaction that, I mean, well, Senator Miriam was here and she did say if Duterte was NPA, yun naman daw CIA.
Hindi, totoo yun. Hindi totoo yun. Okay? Yung asawa ko, kasama ko yan, palagi katabi ko yan, sigurado ako hindi NCA. Hindi to true lies, na biglang mawawala na lang siya, na biglang nagtatango somewhere else. Hindi. Kilala ko ang asawa ko at nakita naman natin sa kanyang pagkatao, hindi nga nakikialam, Karen. Ang dami nga hindi kilala sa mundo ng politika. Siguro kung siya ay naging CIA, matagal na siyang pinaalis kasi useless siya at wala siyang maibibigay na kontribusyon. Pero gayon pa man, I just wanted to clarify that because it's ridiculous and I think they're throwing everything already, including the kitchen sink, and that's just the lowest of the low. I mean,
Okay, we don't have enough time. Last words, it is 3 days to go before Election Day. What would you want to tell the Filipino voter?
Well, sa ating mga kababayan, kung masaya kayo ngayon sa inyong kinalalagyan, edi wag ninyo akong iboto. Kung sa tingin ninyo gusto ninyong bumalik nung mga nakaraan, yung pagpapalakad na pipigilan ng ating kalayaan at hindi din ganon ka ginhawang buhay natin, wag rin ako. Pero kung sa tingin ninyo na meron pa tayong pwedeng magawa para sa ating bansa, na mas marami sa ating mga kababayan ang dapat magkaroon ng mas masaganang buhay, isang gobyerno na may puso na talagang tutulungan kayo, hindi kayo tatakutin, at ang isang gobyerno na hindi ninyo kinakatakutan, kung hindi natatakot sa inyo, kung hindi gagawin ang trabaho, sana ikonsideran niya na lang ako.
All right. On that note, Senator Grace Poe, thank you very much for coming. Good luck to you. That's Headstart today. It is 3 days to go before Election Day. I'm Karen Davila. Thank you for watching. What a privilege to have 2 women who are running for the highest office on Headstart this morning. Have a good day. Stay on ANC.